All right, so what we're going to be doing here is building a tumbler turner for making epoxy dipped tumblers so that when they're drying they don't drip and leave lots of drip marks. So what we're just going to use is use a few pieces of scrap wood, a leftover flagpole, a motor from a toy, and all of our other tools to kind of cut it into a nice thing that will allow us to tumble a tumbler. Alright, so we're going to cut our base from this piece of deck wood. We made our roundabout line here. I'm just going to use our miter saw, give it a cut. Alright, so now we're going to make our upward stands that are going to hold the pole that's going to go through this. So first we're going to take about an 8-inch cut here. So we just measured 8 inches, made our mark line. Because our piece of wood has a really nasty knot with some cracking, for our second one we're actually just going to cut this off and then we're going to remeasure for it and make our cuts that way. So first cut coming up. We're going to cut our length of pole. We've got a few holes in here, so we're just going to cut a nub off using our miter box and cutting off that first piece. Alright, so now we're going to use our drill press to make a couple of holes where the pole is going to be going through, and we want to make sure we get it down at an angle. So what we're going to do is just use a small sliver of wood somewhere else to prop up our wood so that it's on a slight angle going in, and that way our pole will point slightly down when it's in its holders, and the drips from the tumbler will go towards the bottom of the cup instead of the top of the cup. So we got our stuff in place, turn on our drill press, and down we go. So we've used our drill press, we've got our holes in our two different stands, and now we're going to just do a real quick check. Stand these up, slide our pole through, and make sure it looks good. So this is the very basic functionality of what's going to happen. So again, we've got a pole here that will turn on its own. We've got our motor that will turn it. And now what we're going to do is secure the stands, kind of set up our motor so that it's going to be in a good position and it'll be flush with the pole. And all right, now we're going to drill our holes straight up and down. We have a right starting hole, and then we're going to secure the risers with a couple of wood screws. Alright, now we're going to secure the first riser with some screws. Alright, we got one down. All set. We're going to do the same for the other riser. Then we're going to start placing our motor. Alright, so now we've got both of the risers set up. We've got our pole cut to length. It slides in and out. So you guys can see we just took a couple of screws on each end. Got them in place. Now we're going to do some prep work on the back to get the motor in place. So because the motor is kind of tall over here, we're going to drill a little bit of a hole to make some space for that motor to sit inside the wood a little bit so that we can attach it without having to do too much with the rest of the attachment back plate that holds the batteries. right here where our motor is going to sit inside the wood a little bit, I'm just going to take my drill press. If you don't have a drill press, you can just use a regular drill, but why not? Inch wide hole drill. I'm just going to take it down. Don't necessarily have to go all the way in, so I'm just going to get a good feel for it, maybe go half an inch in, just to leave a little bit more integrity to the wood. Alright, so there we have it, our extra hole for where the motor's going to sit inside a little bit. Just like that. So now we're going to get a good feel for how we're going to mount the whole motor assembly onto here. The plan is to have it kind of just attached, but we're going to need some spacers to take care of the extra space in the gap between there, and then we're going to work on attaching our pole to the actual motor. Alright, so got the motor mounted on to the plate, just used some long screws to go through it. Throw in a few spacers here, but for the most part, now we've got our motor sticking right through. Now I'm just going to use a hot glue gun to just temporarily secure our stick, just to make sure this all works as expected, and then figure out a more permanent solution after that. Maybe a screw through the gear inside there, or maybe, who knows, maybe hot glue works just fine. And that's pretty much it. Then we just have to put the either Nerf ball or a foam pool toy, pool noodle on the end of this, and we'll see if it works. All right, so we have hot glued our stick into our motor housing right back here. That will spin. We're going to give it our maiden voyage test run. And there we have a very slow rotating. Tumbler. Now, odds are the hot glue is going to detach at some point, so I'm probably going to come up with a better solution for getting this permanently affixed to that gear, but also in a way that makes it so that I can detach it if I really need to. And I'm probably going to clean up the insides of these holes just to make them as smooth as humanly possible, just because this is going to be a lot of weight for this little toy motor. And then finally, if we do decide to swap out this battery cartridge, or the battery compartment, for a DC converter, plug-in option, since these are just 3 AAA batteries, 1.5 volts each, we just need to find an AC-DC adapter that will give us a roughly 4.5 to 6 volt output, so that we don't overdo it on the motor, and that way we'll have everlasting power to this machine. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. Subscribe.